sacred word. This is yes. This is yes. This is, I have no reason to doubt. This is the way, is the only way, so don't worry. This is new friends with new truths who get it. This is, that was me he was talking about. This is happening all the time. This is, our homes are filled with hearts. Look at mine. It is becoming. This is the sound it makes. This is the sound it makes. This is growing into our history. This is, we are already whole. This is unlearned knowing. This is what ears can do once they have eaten. This is going all the way. This is carry on. This is, we have learned a few things now and come back to give back. This is devotion. This is okay. This is, are we even making a sound? Woo! This is, I have to believe it. This is the way, is the only way. So don't worry. This is ideas with lives and hungry hands. This is no time to be cynical. This is what we're good at. This is dark. So dark, we don't know our faces. This is, we have got 11 other senses. This is, oh. This is what they never taught you because you already knew. This is what you forgot, you forgot. This is Remembrance Day. Hooray! And it is for living. This is scripture. This is text. This is making a meaning. This is the sound it makes. This is halfway there. This is wherever you are. This is fuck those fucking fighting, fuck but love the tiny, holy intention. This is, I don't know if I can. This is, no one ever does. This is using whatever we've got to make it. This is making it. This is the sound it makes. This is repetition. This is yes. This is repetition. This is yes. This is repetition. This is beat. This is repetition. This is singing. This is repetition. This is easy. This is our hearts are true. This is anyone can hear. This is everything right here. This is the sound it makes. We were the bright young hopes in the tiny city dream. The literary, nope, this one I need to read more, I didn't memorize it as well. We were the bright young hopes in the tiny city dream, the hungry artists of literary apocalyptic joy, who saved our hearts for ourselves, who we would finally meet in the dark light at the top of the top, who were with the best before they were the best, and declared them the best, who tried to connect and fell down, smashed on stairs with love and lonely, who read poetry at inanimate instruments, which sang along, breaking our resistance, who sang true love at the bar door, shaking, hysterical, positive, who tired and smiling trips to mainland music halls, beer and hostel emptied, passed on the new knowledge, who photographs through wine applauded sisters and young things for a new perspective, strong-voiced beacon, signing that I'm drowning as the crowd cheered plenty, and give us a copy of your will, that your will be food for us, and done. Who climbed sides of buildings, ocean views ecstatic, and whipped frigid, friendless, and desperate, who fell in new laps, grateful, and stayed for lack of complaint, who drums and microphones sounded our furies and stayed for dessert, feet tapping, who listened intently on radios, bored brilliant to CD stores for community service, t-shirted torsos, who fantasized the crowds and conjured and cajoled them to come, and come, and come they did, who needed snacks, so got jobs selling cigarettes and CDs, planning and crying in our punch cards, that the night did not fill our cups, dented and dry, ringing from rocked ears and true tone calls from young lovers and mothers with bad advice and old needs, burying our new lyrics that yet sing on, hoarse, muffled, to a new generation.
After years and years and years of your use, I'm in my socks. So if I go sliding, it is part of the act. So I today, I must confess, have some old poetry or former poetry I wrote before. Because where I've really been putting my time these days is in learning language, learning both Hokumenum for to honor the Sinemak First Nation on whose lands that we reside, most likely all of us uninvited. And but also Ganageha Mohawk, which is my nation. So that's what I'm going to start with, just because I think hearing these words is poetry in itself. It's just a beautiful way to learn about another worldview, is to use and learn the language. So these are just my introductions, first in Hokumenum and then in Ganageha. OCM na siyaya, entapa altogether Lisa, Tanitsa na Gabriola, Itzin mana ach Margaret Moses Daniel Webster, Enta uqueda no soltsitsa Ontario, Hetska Kwanda skaskip atanaquea, Zitzala tash nanemak mashtimak nin hakwashis taltamol, Enta quea Hitsa aqua si akswa siam. So that's what you would say if you are uninvited to introduce yourself on Hokumenum lands. And if you are an uninvited Mohawk, here's what you would say. You say, Sego, Lisa Webster, Noge Sana Ontan, altogether Lisa Youngats, Ganageha Ga, and Yewaga Aunt, Noah Aunt Son, Don, Ya, Dewaga, Gi, Daro, Dayon, Gabriola, Nidawaga, no. And I'm going to teach you some language now, because this is everything that we all need to say. It's hard to flip from English into any other language, just let me tell you. So the first word I'll teach you is Wageso. Right? Wageso. I am smiling. So that's Mohawk for I am smiling. Wageso. Wagatsununi. Okay, so that is I'm good to be here, and wagadidagare de is I am healthy. So these are three good words to learn in a pandemic. So, but my favorite of all of those is wageso, because I am smiling. All right, so here's some old poems, because I've been running around emceeing, and I'll give you a couple here. So this is the first one. That you were driving after 1 or 2 beers was not a problem. That you were driving stoned after 1 or 2 beers was not a problem. That you were chain smoking cigarettes and stubbing them out in the ashtray faster than the lines on the middle of the road past the car was not a problem. That you narrated the drive beginning to end non-stop, that was a problem. Your tales began slow, tailed off in the middle, and the less said about the ending, the better. Your jokes were a snapshot of your inner thought processes, better known as demons. Your political commentary began and ended with a first world, white-centric, wealth-entitled diatribe against everything that I was and am. Oh, but you don't act like an Indian. I mean, why don't those Indians get a job? And there it was, the Indian question. And I never know what to say to those people who say those things that make your eyebrows raise and your eyes pop out and your lips curl into a hard rock plastic grin. And that freezes on your face into that oh so Canadian mask of hidden, I can't believe you said that politeness. Now, when I was young, I didn't live on the res, and I had a pretty regular native family, just not grassroots. And I always wanted to be more of an Indian, the kind who wore regalia with feathers and braids, who danced at powwows and ate corn soup, who wrestled bears and lived on reserves, who had big families to love them, engulf them, and swallow them with aunties. But even more, I wanted to be a radical Indian, the kind who carry Haudenosaunee passports from their own nations, who sing their own anthems in their own tongue, who embrace protest and politics to protect their traditional territory, who could raise a single white feather and stop a government. Now, in that car, you dragged me to a price to pay that I could not resist jumping off, and you gave me the moment when I could raise my own verbal white feather in protest. Just shut the up, I cried, and the filibuster was on. My tales began slow in the time before Europeans, when our communities were strong, healthy, and plentiful, gained strength in the middle of 155 years of oppression and survival. And you will always remember the ending, because I am the ending. My children are the ending, and their children, and their children, and their children. And your children will be the ending, and their children, and their children. And my jokes were a snapshot of the resiliency of nations who cannot be held down, who rely on humor to get them through. And my political commentary, while bold for a dark summer's night, held insight. Why question the Indians? Why not question yourself? And in that final hour, or the final mile of that fated ride, when I fell silent, and you drove quiet and sober, then pulled the car over. That you pulled the car over was not a problem. That you turned and stared hard at me after you pulled the car over was not a problem. That your silence ricocheted off the car like a stray bullet was not a problem. No, this had never been our problem. It is our opportunity. So if any of you have ever heard me ranting on after a few beers, one of the things that I really take umbrage to is lyrics from the 1950s. So there's a song that's out there like, Johnny get angry, Johnny get mad, give me the biggest lecture I ever had. I want a brave man, I want a caveman, Johnny, show me that you care. And I'm just like, when I was growing up, I always thought it was, Johnny, give me the biggest whipping I ever had. And so that's what I grew up with. And I was like, so to the ends of the days, I really hate this song forever and a day, right? And you know, like the whole thing about Judy and stealing the man and crying and her turn and all that. Yeah, no, nobody does that anymore. We don't cry over lost men. I would cry over spilled milk before I cry over a lost man. But anyway, these are just some of my views. So I was thinking about this poem, about this song, and this poem came to me, and so it's a little bit disturbing, but it is what it is. And so this is what came in 1976 when I first heard the song. This has been brewing up until I'm in my 50s. And in your 50s, you know you can say whatever you want because you're in your 50s. And you don't have to care anymore, right? Raise your hand if you're at that point. Yes. Men too. Men go through menopause too. That's all I know. Anyway, these are some radical statements, aren't they? So, how do we show we care? With a punch and a hit and a pull of the hair? No. We use our words. In our combat, love, and marriage, we have drawn rules of engagement that say we must battle at volume, with cruel verbal weapons of throat and hot tongue, words that are gunshot bullets, accusations and blame, annoyance, irritation, wrath, fury, rage, and shame. Words that are scream and shriek, sleek and quick, each syllable a bullet that cuts through bone and marrow into the heart of the matter. Where our hearts explode like ballistic gelatin, love splatter covers us, The patterns it makes are hard to decipher. Is there anything left? Hate shrapnel has buried itself so deep that we are not even aware we are becoming its cold, hard steel. After each campaign of hurt, we come to a silent truth, where the rules are rewritten but never discussed. A ceasefire of goodwill and make-up sex, where we tell ourselves that these word wounds will heal, but they don't. Scar upon scar becomes threaded together by pain into an emotional patchwork quilt that blankets our souls, that keeps us here in this bed of matrimonial nails.
Jerry's been dabbling in verse for years and got serious about 2 years back and was awarded in that short time Author of the Month for Spillword Press International out of New York in just last month. No, 2 months ago, in May. Jerry Stephenson.
Thank you. We all have things that we advocate for. And I grew up totally dyslexic. I failed a math final exam on spelling. True story.
No.
True story. Yes, they had questions and answers.
Yeah.
I had to answer it. I spelled so bad, they failed me on the exam. Never mind the mathematical content, nothing. I had to feel it so I could go to school and university. What can I say? But yeah, the dyslexic folks need a little representation in this world. And there's other people who need representation. And I look at this and I think about this all the time. And I thought, I want to write a poem about Cultivate. And I read you part of it there. And I thought, I want something a little stronger. I thought about that. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I wrote some more new poems. I'm kind of pleased with them. One I really liked. I think I could try it a little later. And then Ray calls me and says, maybe we want to make people dance and scream or shriek and yell and do all sorts of stuff. I thought, yeah, I'm into that big time. A shrieker and screamer and yeller. Why not? So I thought about that. And then this morning, I'm at the tail end of a renovation. And I've been busier than I wanted to be. And it's frustrating. I got up early. I went back to bed. And I got woke up with a clap of thunder.
Yeah.
I thought, holy, I'm back on the prairies. Oh my God, what's happened here? And I wake up, and then I turned on the radio or the TV or something, trying to get a cup of coffee in me, and I realized I woke up in 1772. The hell's with that? But there I am, right? There I am, okay? And out come those nasty words. And I know these words well, because I remember the day it took place. Because I knew a woman in North End, Winnipeg. Her name was Annie Ross. She created the Mount Carmel Clinic, and she gave out birth control to anybody who came there. She delved with the center still survived, just did really well, okay? They're advocates for abortion, just all the right people in all the right world, and I'm back here in 1772, not happy. And now I got a wife